We're ready. Welcome everybody to Art Talks here at Second.
Tara?
Hello. And Byrne, where are you from in the world?
Oh, I'm from Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Vancouver, BC, Canada. Um,
Yes.
and tell me a little bit about how you originally heard about Second Life. What made you decide to come in?
It was actually my roommate at the time had, I don't know, he had discovered Second Life, and he knew, of course, that I was doing art and curating in real life, and just suggested that I come in and check it out and see what kind of galleries there were, and see if I could possibly bring, the art that I was curating, which I was calling lowbrow art. And I kind of didn't imagine that Second Life would have much lowbrow art available. And as far as I could find when I did come in and have a look around, there wasn't that much. I mean, a lot of people were bringing their own art in and setting up their own little galleries to show their own stuff, but there wasn't a lot of people that I could find that were curating other artists.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love your taste in artists because I have had so much fun through the years buying art from your gallery. I mean, just fantastic artists that you brought in from the Canada area mostly, right?
Yes. Well, I have been showing US artists as well, and I like to focus on some local artists that I know. And over the years that I've been running the Tart Gallery in World, a lot of them have actually kind of branched out themselves and spread out from Vancouver and started showing internationally.
Oh, fantastic.
Sorry, I was just having a little bit of a hard time hearing you, Tara. So I just
Okay.
there.
Is it better now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Um, let's start by talking about, in general, your art and your style. On our to our left, but to the audience's right, we have six pictures that you actually have personally done. And I've got to say, I have always loved your eyes. You are fantastic. They're just staring right through me.
Thank you.
Um,
Actually, it's funny. I'm glad you noticed that because I think obviously the eyes are my favorite part to paint. So, I mean, I like the whole face, but I think the eyes are definitely the most interesting part of the face. So,
yeah. And so one of your lines that you've done is singers. Tell me a little bit
yes.
about that.
Well, I'm a singer, or I was a singer myself for quite a few years, and I had a band that I was performing with. And I was influenced by a lot of kind of alternative female singers coming up in the 80s. And so a friend of mine who I worked with as an art partner wanted to have a group show at a club that she had art shows at, and she suggested that we do all females. So I thought, well, I'm going to do a set of all female artists that I love, singers that I love, and I just never stopped after I started that first show because there's so many women that are inspiring, and I could just list off hundreds of them. So.
And who do you have for us here today to look
Well,
at?
actually, just as far as singers go,
Mhm.
there's Deborah Harry from Blondie,
Mhm.
and that's the one in the pink. And then
Which
Nina
is one of my
Hagen,
favorite concerts I've ever gone to.
the wild and crazy Nina Hagen, which is a monochrome painting I have of her there when she was younger. And she was an intense German opera slash punk singer. And, she's
Okay.
still going strong today, actually. And then the other black and white monochrome one on the far side is Peggy Lee, the
Mm,
legendary Peggy Lee. And that's a brand new painting, which I haven't actually released yet.
beautiful.
So, and
Mm,
the others are actually they're actresses and models. So, but I
okay.
do a lot of singers, I have to say. It's a favorite of mine.
Well, and taking it that next step, painting on guitars.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people always tell me, you should paint real guitars. Like you should like, well, these guitars that I'm painting are like extremely rare vintage, and I wouldn't have the money and I wouldn't even be able to find guitars as beautiful as these. But um, that being said, I have painted a couple of people's guitars, a custom work, but it's always really frightening to me when I'm doing custom work on people's belongings. I don't want to ruin it or mess it up or anything. So it's a lot easier for me to just paint a picture of a guitar.
And one thing I know that you also do, which I don't have a picture out of, and is totally fun, is the rubber gloves.
Yeah, I did sell them in SL at one point. And I actually, it's funny, I even have a small little kind of satellite gallery dedicated to them. Um, but I found that I think, people would be more interested in actually purchasing gloves that they could wear rather than just pictures of art of gloves.
Ah.
So I did try my hand at making some of them actually on wearable gloves, but
Mhm.
I'm not a creator, I'm not a designer, and I could not make clothes very well. So I tried, and also because the way it's set up in SL, if you make a glove on one side, it's just going to mirror the other side. So, and it's a backwards image, so I couldn't actually get both images on the gloves on each hand. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was a little complex.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the gloves that I've been doing lately, I've just really been selling online mostly. So,
And
we
but
have I
painting the
have a,
real gloves and framing them?
yes. And,
Yes.
I have the Tart Gallery has a WordPress blog and I have them up there. I don't have all of pictures of all of them, but it's easy enough to get a hold of me if people wanted custom gloves or they wanted to buy something that I already have.
Yeah, and I would suggest to everybody in the audience and anyone who's listening to definitely check them out because they are so great.
I'm doing
um,
paddles too, Tara, right? I don't know if you've
oh,
seen them,
I haven't
but
seen the paddles.
yeah, they're pine wood paddles about 17 inches long with the same kind of iconic pinup that I've been doing on the gloves for a long time. And they're a bit more saucy, and I think they're a bit more fetishy. But I think there's a lot of people in SL that would appreciate that, could dig that.
Yeah.
And I've had, with the gloves, it's funny. I have had people in SL commission gloves of their avatars on them, and that's always fun.
Mm. Now that's neat. I never even thought about doing that. Now it's in my head. Well, let's talk about the Tart Gallery. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, let's talk about the Tart Gallery. I want to definitely get to Chimera Club too.
Okay.
Um, but let's talk about the Tart Gallery. And how long have you had the Tart Gallery open?
It's the 7th anniversary coming up actually in July. So it's hard to believe 7 years. And I just had a res day too, and I was 7 in June, on June 4th, I think.
Wow.
So basically,
Congrats.
I just sort of came in here running and set up the gallery right away. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I had a friend that helped me out and got me basically a spot, a place to do it, to do the gallery in. It was an old sim, not around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And but funnily enough, actually, the landlord, Marmala, is still going in SL, and I also continued to rent from her over the years. And it wasn't until just recently that I moved the gallery. So I was in the same place for many, many years, actually. And
Nice.
that was nice. I mean, it was a nice sense of community. I had neighbors there, they came and went, but people always knew where the gallery was, which was great.
And
And
you did. Go ahead.
sorry, no, I was just going to say that the 7th anniversary is coming up, and I'm going to have 7-hour party to celebrate
Woohoo!
every year.
A different DJ every hour?
Yes.
Woohoo! Fun.
Not quite as big, obviously, as SLB's birthday. I mean, SL's birthday. 11 years is massive.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that you used to do, and I think that's where I met you, was the Dr. Sketchy parties.
Yes.
And those were great ways to draw attention to the gallery as well. But even more interesting to me was the fact that it got people to draw pictures of avatars that were posed or scenes that you created
That's right.
in real life, and then you posted them up on the blog.
Right. And
And
Flickr too.
I, yeah, and Flickr. And I loved the fact that people were kind of taking that, an inside situation and making it either a picture or a drawing on the outside.
The Dr. Sketchies is a real life event, and I would say it's sort of a franchise. It started by Molly Crabapple in New York quite a few years ago now. I can't even remember how long it's been going. And she's she basically just contacted people in many cities and asked them if they would like to set up a Dr. Sketchies in their town. And what they would do is just they would charge a nominal fee and get people to come in on a night at at various places. It could be a gallery or a bar or a musical venue, and sketch burlesque dancers. And I think as the years went by, it got more and more. Um, I don't know, just bigger and better, and they started to have more entertainers coming in and just making the displays bigger. But I think it varies wherever you go. So in SL, I thought, well, this is an interesting experiment, and I asked their permission if I could have the SL branch. And they at first thought it was kind of crazy, but they let me go for it. And I did it for like a couple of years, and it was a lot of fun, especially because the burlesque community in Second Life was really taking off at that time. So I was just finding a lot of women that wanted to pose and wanted to have fun and have their avatars drawn. And
Mm-hmm.
that did happen, but I also found just because of the nature of Second Life, a lot of people were taking photographs instead of actually drawing. So I didn't want to limit anybody, and so after a few years of doing Dr. Sketchies, I changed it to what I now call the Camera Club. So it's sort of the same idea, but not limited to burlesque. But I'd have a model pose for 2 hours and have a DJ play, kind of a thematic set for whatever ideas we come up with to do for the session. And people will take photographs of the models, and that's really taken off too, especially with Flickr and people's obsessions, I think, with taking SL photographs. So that's really worked out well.
Yeah, I know I did one, Demons and Monsters or something like that, and that was a lot of
Yes.
fun.
Oh, that was so much fun. You had your dragons out, and it was awesome.
Yeah. um, so, how often do you do the camera club? If
It's
someone wanted
once a
to participate?
Oh yeah, it's once a month, and I usually say it's at the last Saturday of the month, but it has been moving around a little bit. Sometimes it's the third Saturday. Also,
Okay.
sometimes it's Sunday. It depends on the scheduling. We just had one yesterday, so it was on a
And what was
Sunday.
the theme yesterday?
It was at a great sim, an adult sim called Tierra de Fuego, and it's an airport sim.
Oh,
So
neat.
we had an action thriller scene set up where we had, you know, planes exploding and gunfire. It was just really crazy and fun.
Fun. I can't wait to see those pictures. Well, let's talk about the artists that we have displayed here. Um,
Sure.
you want to start on the far end with the head and the crab?
Okay, that's by Red Wilitsky, and she's an artist from Seattle. And I had the pleasure, I have not met her in person, but I knew a couple of artists that also knew her and people in galleries in Seattle. And I contacted her through Facebook and asked her. I actually had featured her on the Tart Gallery website as an Artist of the Month previously.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, maybe she'd be interested in having me show her art in SL if she knew anything about it. And she she was totally gung-ho. I don't think she really knew too much about SL, but she just dived right in, and she wanted to come in as an avatar and to attend the show and everything, and had her dress up in her signature bright hot pink hair too. It was excellent.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so she love having the artists attend the shows when they can. I'll have to say that there's very few artists that are actually residents of SL that I've shown, because really what I've intended on doing is making sort of a bridging, um, making a bridge between SL and RL, the lowbrow RL scene that I know about. And so I encourage a lot of the artists to come into SL and to, get their own account if they like a night. There have been a few, and they've come and gone and come to different shows. But more recently, I just decided to create an account that they could use. And so I make it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah.
So they can just sign on in, and I'll sort of customize an avatar for them, and they can attend the art openings. So that's Red Wolitsky. I mean, she's an amazing portraitist too. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see her work. She's online. She's in a whole bunch of shows in Seattle and other places as well.
I think I have one of hers with ferrets.
Possibly she
White
does.
ferrets.
I think she does a lot of portraits, and then she'll have animals as well. So there's a mix.
Mm-hmm. And the next one down on the, is it a snowmobile?
I think it's a futuristic moped, because
Oh, okay.
that artist, his name is Mark Pilon, and he goes by the name of Adamus. And he's an illustrator and painter from Vancouver, and I know him. I've known him for quite a while. He actually had a great gallery in Vancouver called the Moonbase Gallery for a few years. And he's an illustrator for a local music entertainment magazine called Georgia Strait too. Anyway, he's totally a mod. I mean, he loves his scooters, and he goes out on runs all the time with a scooter club.
Fun.
So yeah, that's like, I guess, his hover scooter.
Now, continuing kind of the space theme, above that in black and white, the eye. John McNair?
That's actually the wrong title. I just realized it.
Oh, okay.
But he's a U.S. artist from, I think, originally from Portland, but now he's located in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But he shows a lot in Portland. I've seen a lot of notices for his real art being available in Portland galleries. So if you're interested, check it out. His online, or his artist name is actually called Crispy Copper, but his real name is John McNair. And yeah, he's an amazing illustrator. He primarily works with ink and black and white. But I was just fascinated by his work. It's quite dark, but it's got this sense of humor too, and it's almost got this Bosch kind of influence as well. It's very surreal.
Yeah, you really have to look at this several times to catch all of the different things going on in this painting. Or ink drawing, eh?
Yes. They're small. I think the real pieces are smaller. They're probably 8 by 10 size or so, maybe a little bit bigger in some cases, but.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the thing is that a lot of artists say when they come into a show that I've put up in a gallery, they're amazed at how big their pieces look. Because
yeah.
in real life, they're not going to get
that big.
Exactly. So they're always impressed by that. Oh, I wish I could paint them that big.
Now, behind that is Mitch O'Connell.
Yes. Mitch is also a great artist that has come into SL for the opening, and he was really a lot of fun. He's a zany guy to begin with. He promotes himself as the greatest artist alive. He's got a good sense of humor. And he's a prolific artist. He's been doing illustration and painting, and you name it, comics, if you go to his website, mitchoconnell.com, I'm assuming, I think that's what it is, you'll see like how many different styles he can do as well. I mean, this is probably the most painterly piece that I have of his. It's very detailed and there's a lot going on. I guess obviously it's his tribute to B movies and Betty Page. Um, a lot of his work is tattoo based, and he does a ton of flash for tattoo artists. So he's got books and books. He's like,
Wow.
I don't even know how many books he has on his
I
artwork.
needed
He's got a
that.
lot.
I'm gonna have to look him
Hmm
up. And then this new one, Snap Out of It. Or not
That
new, but the front one, blue one.
that's Niagara from Detroit, and she's probably somebody that I've had like, I don't know, a big a big art crush on for a really long time. She's she's a very strong female sort of character because not only is she a great lowbrow artist, she's also a singer and a rock star. She was in a band called
Mm.
Destroy All Monsters. So she's just a tough cookie. I love her. She's really funny. She's got a great sense of humor. A friend of mine and I went down to a gallery in Seattle quite a few years ago and got to see her work in person and meet her. And it really spurred both of us on to open our own gallery, and promote female lowbrow artists. And that's what we did with the Tart Gallery. I mean, it was a short-lived real gallery in Vancouver for a couple of years, but we had shows all the time, and we burned out, but we shone very brightly for a short time. So yeah, Niagara is she's a sweetheart, and she didn't come into SL. I don't think her computer could handle it at the time, but she was really happy to have me show her work in SL, and that was actually at another gallery that I'd had at the Sim Albero. That oh, this is a long name, I know. Oh my God, what the fuck? Barbecue. she had uh, she had a great sim, and she was really one of the first people that did like a whole huge gacha thing too, or gotcha.
Mhm.
And she she invited me to have a satellite Tart gallery on Albero. So that was one of the first shows I had was Niagara's, and that was a lot of fun. I remember.
Mhm.
There's actually been a lot of people that have been super generous with space for me in over the years. Bohemian Ghost also hosted a gallery that I had for a time called Populove. I mean, basically, it was the same art that I was showing. It was just
Mhm.
a little bit less lowbrow. This piece behind us,
Mhm.
Joshua Petker, is one of the shows that I had at the Populove as well. And
Okay.
so, there's still a cartoon kind of illustrative quality to a lot of the work, but it just had less, I would say, pop influence. And so I wanted to kind of have a separate gallery. Anyway, they were great, and also Bohemian hosted the gallery, but also Zach Kale did as well. So there's
Oh,
been a lot of
good.
people that have been
Zach.
instrumental and really helpful
Mm.
in promoting the art that
And
I show.
I actually have a piece from that series from behind us that is just the woman in the black smoking a cigarette with all the colors around her.
Right.
I love that
Yeah, there's
piece.
there's a few. There's a lot of well, it's funny we should talk about this maybe because he did paint a lot of women in that series, and I just happen to love paintings of women, so I
Mhm.
end up promoting artists that do. But that's not all I'll show. As you see John McNair's piece, I don't think it had one female character in them. So, and
But you know that
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Brandon who?
Brandon Steen, who's no relation to me because my real life name is Nicole Steen, uh, but he's a great artist, and I showed a series of his work that was just all male. I just wanted it to be all male, and had enough of this female energy for a while. It was like, okay, let's get some guys in here.
No, but you do have a brother, don't you?
I have a couple, yes. And
Oh.
actually, I just met a cousin that is also an artist. His name is Troy, and so I was really happy to find out he's totally into the same kind of art that I am. So,
Oh, nice. Now, did you have a mother or father that was into art?
um, they are both creative, artistic people, but not specifically artists. No, my dad was
Uh-huh.
a musician, so he kind of propelled me into the love of music, I guess. I mean, he's a drummer, but he would take me to his rehearsals and stuff when I was little, so I was intrigued by that. Um, but I think as far as I don't know, I don't know why I started drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Just happened.
And besides the musicians, what are your other favorite things to draw?
Well, I have been pretty stuck with doing portraits, and I think that's because I don't know, I'm just enamored by painting women. And you said
Mm-hmm.
the eyes, there's something fascinating about glamour as well, and about female form. I don't do as many sort of figures as I do portraits, but I've ventured into that. As you can see at the centerpiece is it's Betty Page. I've placed her
Yeah.
underwater with a shark, but I
She looks like she's
yeah,
having fun.
exactly. And I have ventured into taking lots of photos lately too of models, and so that's sort of I branched out a little bit. I'm not painting as quite as much, but I'm taking more photographs, and I might even end up painting my photographs.
Oh no, that would be
Deciding
great.
about that, yeah.
Yeah. So, are you finding that people that see an artist in your gallery go out to the artist's real website, and purchase art from them? Is SL a good venue for that relationship?
I think it's a great venue for introducing an international audience who wouldn't necessarily find these artists in the first place. I mean, there's quite a few over the years that have gotten like people that I was showing with in galleries in the States are now international. And there's, I think it's just the fact that the internet is just huge, obviously now, too,
Right.
and it's just everywhere. So, um, I when I ask an artist to come into SL and have a show here, I'll say, well, it's a great way to have an international audience attend all at the same time, which it is. I
Yeah.
usually have the shows in the afternoons in SL time so that the Europeans can also attend. Makes it a little bit easier. So usually
Mhm.
around like 1 p.m. on a Saturday. And I do find that, a lot of the artists that have come in are really amazed by Second Life. I just think they just don't really have the time to explore it more. But I think they're really fascinated and they really appreciate that I'm able to show their work here.
Yeah. So, what's next for you in Second Life and art?
Well, I'm having the 7th anniversary,
Yeah.
and because I just moved the gallery, I think it was a few months ago, to a new sim, to the fabulous Terre de Mort sim, where I have a lot of lovely neighbors, including um, clubs and just great kind of hangout places called the Rub and Soundproof. Um, I kind
Yay,
of build.
soundproof. Shout out to soundproof.
I'm kind of building the gallery. I think it's funny because I opened it up, the new gallery, as like a one floor space for the opening. And then I added another floor. And now I think I'm going to add another floor. So I can just build up until I have a skyscraper. No, I don't think they're going to let me have a skyscraper, but I'll just keep adding floors as I get more art to show.
Well, we will enjoy every one of those shows. I wanted to see if anyone in the audience, if you guys have any questions for Byrne, you can IM me the questions. And we have about 10 more minutes.
I
So
see
if
you,
you have a
Naxos.
question.
He's hiding.
He's blending. He's all artsy and colorful, so he's blending into the artwork there. um, Through the years, what have you thought about the art community here in Second Life?
Well, because I've sort of had this focus on bringing RL artists that I love into SL to kind of share it with everybody here, I've not been that involved directly in the SL art community, which I think is amazing. I do love it and I go to as many shows as I can, but I haven't been involved personally with doing a lot of things in SL art. Not until recently where I've like had more photography involved in shows here.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I felt like I feel like I've been a little bit of an outsider in that respect because this isn't SL art per se. It's bringing RL, real art into Second Life. But
Right.
I have had a lot of support from the audience, the people that have come to the shows and seen the art and attended, and people are very, I'm very encouraging that way for sure.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wanted to find you in real life, are you on Twitter or Facebook or Flickr you mentioned?
Yep, I'm on ByrneDarkly on Twitter and on Facebook. Oh, actually, on Facebook, I'm Nicole Byrne
Okay.
to make things more confusing.
And is the
And
Tart
there,
Gallery?
there is a Tart Gallery WordPress page as well. And
Okay. Great.
and there's an in-world group, of course, and there's also a subscriber at the gallery. So if you don't have group space, you can just join the subscribo and get notices and free gifts
Yeah.
sometimes.
Woohoo! So if you're wanting to come in Second Life and visit the Tart Gallery, just come in and look up under people ByrneDarkly Cazalet, and she has a uh, link in her profile so that you can teleport there. Well, Byrne, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about your lovely artwork and the gallery that you do.
You're so welcome. Thank you. And this went really quickly. I can't even believe it's over. Thanks a lot, Tara.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
thanks
And
to SL11B for having me.
yeah, thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you. We will be here again tomorrow night at 4 p.m. And we will be talking to Eliseo Ember about all of the wonderful builds that he creates. So join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thanks. Bye.